This is Outside the Round with Matt Burrill, a Raise Rowdy podcast.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Outside the Round with me, Matt Burrill. Today, a very special guest, a legend in the country music world, a guy that is referred to as an OG, a man who's been doing it a long time, who got to be a part of one of the greatest eras of music, period, in the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s country world. He works with a lot of our good friends that are coming up right now. If you like traditional country music, this is a man that you want to thank. He's originally from the great state of Oklahoma. We got our man, Roger Springer. Now, Roger, when I had our good mutual friend Colton Dawson on here, and after we got done recording his episode, he said to me, "Man, you got to get Roger on here." And then Jake Worthington seconded it said, "Hey, man, you got to have Roger on. You might have to cut some stuff out because Roger lived in the heyday of the wild times, man." But hey, thank you so much for making the trip up here and sit up on that microphone a little bit more.
Yes, sir. You bet.
So. Man, so when did you first get out here to Nashville, Tennessee?
I got here in August of 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. So I got here for the whole run of the 90s, yes.
That's wild. Now, what was the scene like in Oklahoma coming up? Because Oklahoma and that red dirt world and Texas country is its own world. Yeah. And I know it was going on back then, but what prompted you to pack up from small town Oklahoma to come out here to Music City?
Well, you know what? We had never heard of the term red dirt when back through the 80s, and I was playing in a band back in Oklahoma to make extra money because I was skinning hogs at a sausage factory.
Oh, really? No way.
Yeah, at Potter Sausage, and worked in a rendering plant and skinned hogs and did that. So I was playing in this local band back home for a few years through the early 90s. I mean, early 80s, and we just playing honky tonks clubs, every weekend, playing a couple of nights a week. And Randy Travis, I had it on my mind, but when I heard that first Randy Travis album, that was it for me. I thought, I got to go be a part of this, go see if I can be a part of this,
Yeah.
So I got some plans and saved some money up, bought a few heifers and put on my dad's place, and that was kind of my bank account. I was able to I bought 18 Brammer heifers.
Wow.
And put a bull on them, and that was my bank account, So I thought, well, I'll come up here and give it a couple of years if I can hold out, and it was a big boom that was going on because the country resurgence was in full swing.
Yeah.
So if you were from Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Louisiana, kind of that Midwest part of the state, when you got here, if you had a cowboy hat on a guitar, you could get started pretty easy back then.
Wow.
And it was a great time.
Yeah, man. And some of the other guys that were coming up at that time, I mean, you think of Oklahoma, obviously, the mind goes to like Garth and goes to what was going on in Texas with George and Randy and all those guys coming out of there. So did you cross paths with any of them before you moved out here, being in that world?
I didn't. I moved here sight unseen. I didn't know anybody here when I got here, and I didn't even know where Music Row was at when I got here. I moved everything I got down here on my granddad's trailer, and had an old guitar I thought all the music business was down there. We're at downtown Nashville, and somebody had to tell me, no, it's on 16th Avenue. Yeah. So, as you know, it's a one-way street there, 17th Avenue. I was trying to find Music Row, and I was driving down 17th Avenue, and it was just a bunch of houses, and I was like, I couldn't figure out what was what there.
Yeah.
But I saw this black glass building that had these words on it that was ASCAP. And I thought, I didn't even know what ASCAP was.
Yeah.
I thought, well, that's got to be something to do with the music, So I pulled in there and walked in and told them that I was from Oklahoma and had some songs I had written. And they said, yeah, this guy named John Briggs he's new here. He'll see you. Well, and that was the start of my whole career there. I went in and played some songs for him, and he said to me, well, I wasn't trying to be I didn't come here to be a songwriter, I didn't think.
Yeah.
I was looking for a record deal. And so I went in and played John some songs, and he said, hey, man, he said, if I can put you with some hit songwriters, he said, I think you could write some hit songs. And that's kind of started my whole journey there.
Wow. That's wild. Did you have to do any odd jobs when you first moved here? Were you able to get right into the music?
I didn't. I had a record deal like in 2 months.
Wow.
So MCA signed me in 1991. And I thought that was really lucky, but it's really bad luck because it happened so fast. I didn't have time to get here and learn what anything was about, and I just made one little mistake after one little mistake, and pretty soon I didn't have a record deal anymore.
Yeah,
I cut a record.
and I feel like the power of the record labels was so different back then, and radio was everything, and getting your CD at Walmart or
Right.
Tower Records or whatever, like, you've seen it all change.
Oh yeah. It's good. Yeah, that record deal, ended fairly quick, and I signed my first writing deal with EMI Music Publishing in 1992 after the record deal had failed. So I spent 10 years under the EMI roof, 97 writers under that roof then back through there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a good time.
That's wild. Tell me about The Right One Left. And that being, because
Right
you've
One-
got some songs that have gotten the chart, like the 90s, you had some songs that were out there on the radio.
They didn't do too good though.
No, it didn't make it as far as you wanted it to, but
No.
still, just what was that feeling coming from a small town in Oklahoma to
It was-
having records out to the world?
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, I mean, it all went by so fast. I mean, it was a fast lane for a minute for a country boy. But I look back on it now, and I have for many years. God always leads us where we need to be. And the songwriting life for me has been exactly the right lane for me. I wasn't cut out to be on a bus for forever.
Yeah.
I spent 7 years on a bus with Chesnutt, and I kind of got my taste of that.
Yeah, I want to get into when does the pivot happen to Roger Springer, the artist, with the Roger Springer Band, to Roger Springer, the songwriter that's coming up and being the guy behind songs with guys like Mark Chesnutt and others in the 90s.
Well, when I lost the first record deal on MCA, I just put my head down and started writing songs, and I really had to learn. I had some great teachers: Dean Dillon, Whitey Schaefer, Tim Menzies, Skip Ewing. All those I was writing, and the only reason I was getting to write with those guys was because I had a record deal for a moment, and so I made some friendships there. And when I lost my record deal, I had been here long enough to realize that these legend guys, they were only writing with me because I had a record deal.
They were writing for cuts.
Yeah, they were writing for cuts, right? So when I lost my record deal, I thought, hey, I got to do something here because these guys are not going to write with me now. So I thought about it for a little bit, and I picked up the phone and called each one of them, and I had the same spiel for every one of them, for Dean and for Tim and for Whitey, all of them. I called them and said, hey, I'm sure y'all have heard I lost my record deal, but I said, if you'll book one more day with me, I'll bring in 5 songs half done, a verse and a chorus. And if you don't like any of them, I'll take you to an early lunch, and I won't never call you again. And every time I told the same spiel on every one of them, right? And every time I got to that part, to the end of it, they all laughed and said, well, kind of hard to beat that deal. Yeah, we'll book another day. So I did my homework, and just worked and took in 5 songs. And I remember when I got to Dean, I had 5, right?
Yeah.
And I sat there in front of him, and I played the first one, and he didn't acknowledge that I even played it,
Wow.
And so played the second one, nothing. Third one, nothing. Fourth one, nothing. And I had one more thing, and I played it for him, and about half, I got it done with it, and he said, I'll write that one with you. And so I had the kind of the same experience with all of them. I worked my way back in there, and that started my writing career.
That's wild. And then how do you get linked up with Mark Chesnutt?
1994, Celia Froelich over at EMI, she was the head of the company then.
Yeah.
She stopped me in the hallway and said, hey, she said, get ready. She said, 2 weeks from now, she said, you're going to get on a bus with Chesnutt and for a 2-week run. And I was scared to death. I never had met Mark. He had cut a song of mine on the previous album that me and Tony Martin had written called Live a Little.
Yep.
So when I got on the bus with Chesnutt, I was scared to death. He was a big star. He was in his heyday, and over that 2 weeks' time, we didn't even write a song. We just drank a little beer and talked a lot about hunting and fishing, and that's about it. We just became friends, and then that bus ride lasted 7 years. And through that, because of that, I wasn't looking for a record deal anymore, but because we started having some hits, then Doug Johnson from a Giant come to me and asked me if I wanted to cut a record. I think it was in 1998.
Yeah.
And I told him no, that I didn't want to do that. And I went out on the road with Mark and told him that Doug had offered me a record deal, and Mark said, "Man, don't do it." He said, "We're writing all these songs together, you know." He said, "You don't need to be cutting a record. I need these songs over here." I said, "Okay, I'm not going to do it." Well, Doug come back to me and about a week or so later and said, "Come on, man, let's go put this band together. Let's do the Roger Springer band." And he said, "It'll be fun. We'll go have a good time." And went back on the mark, and I started wanting to do it. You know, I had to put that out of my mind for so long, and I thought, well, you know, I might want to go cut another record. And so I went back on the road with Mark, and I told Mark, I said, "Hey, man, Doug, you know, come back to me again on this record deal." And I said, "I'll make a deal with you if you're okay with me cutting this record, Mark. I won't record a single song that you don't pass on. I'll play everything for you first." And he said, "All right, go cut it." That's what we did. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Something that I think is really cool about your journey is that you've gotten to be here for so much. You've hit the 35-year mark of
Yes.
being in town, and you got to experience the 90s, and you've gotten to see the whole thing evolve.
Right.
Like, what were the thoughts on, like, when 2000 comes around and you start getting the generation after Mark Chesnutt, like the Aldeans, the Luke Bryans, the Brad Paisleys, the second half of McGraw and Chesney, like,
Right.
how do a guy like you comes up in 1990 when the old heads were probably like, Mark Chesnutt, that's a whole different thing, or Garth
Right.
Brooks, that's a whole different
Right.
thing. What was it like, kind of, after having been in town for 10, 15 years for the 2000s chapter of country music?
Well, I'll tell you what I did in 1999. I went to Oklahoma and bought a 2,000-acre ranch,
Oh, wow.
and I deer hunted for the next 7 years.
Oh, you took a
I
break.
took a break, yeah, because you know, I mean, like I said, I had been on the road for so long, you know, and it had been a crazy. I mean, a lot of work, you know, to build all that stuff through the 90s. So I was ready for a break, and music was starting to change a little bit. And I knew that it was, you know, what we were doing was going to go away someday. Tim Menzies had told me somewhere in the mid '90s. He said, "You know, what we're doing is going to go away someday." And he said, "When it does, don't chase what's coming." And we didn't know what was coming, you know. He said, "Don't chase what's coming. Just stick with what you do. It'll come back to you." And I really, at that time when he told me that, we were writing. I mean, we were killing it. You know?
Yeah.
And yeah, but I knew he was right. And so when it started happening, I mean, I knew it. So I just you know, went and did something else for a little while, deer hunted and run a dozer, and then about 2008 or 9, I've been about another 9 years. I thought, you know, I was still writing some out there, right? I was still writing and doing that, but there wasn't really a lot of purpose for it. But I don't know. I just kind of kept doing that. I'd come out here and write for 4 or 5 years, and it, you know, the time wouldn't change. Through the 2000s, I got some cuts on Easton Corbin, Randy Travis, and Josh Turner, and Tim McGraw through the 2000s, and Kenny Rogers, just a few things. But I just kept coming back and writing for a year or two, and about the time I met Jake Worthington, I knew we were getting close. And I'd met Jake down in a bar down in Texas. So friends of mine told me to go down and see him. He was a great singer, so I drove down and met Jake for the first time. He was playing for about 6 people in this little old club, you know. And he got off the stage, and I said, and I'd never met him until that night. I said, "How come you don't have a record deal?" He said, "I'm never going to get a record deal." I said, "Man, I guarantee you that's not true." I said, "Come up to my place in Oklahoma, and we'll do some deer hunting, and we'll do some co-writing, and I think we can make a difference in that, you know." So when I brought him back, I moved and come back to Tennessee and brought Jake. I just give him a place to stay, so he would come to my house and stay all week, and we would write. And then he would go back and gig in Texas, and then come back the next week, and he just drove back and forth for 18 months.
Wow.
We just sat down and wrote songs, and things worked out, you know, for Jake. He's doing well. So.
Yeah. What is it about what do you think it is about that 90s country sound that has found its way back? Like, what do you think it took? Why do you think it took so long? And what do you think it is about it that's just so timeless about the era that you've gotten to be a huge part of?
Well, that's the right word, is timeless. You know, country, a great melody with a great lyric. That's what country music has always been about that. You know? And I've really missed that. I hear stuff. I mean, hey, to each their own, and everybody has their day in the sun. and I'm happy for them guys. You know, and they're still out there killing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think America country music lovers, they love a timeless melody, a great melody with a simple lyric on it. You know, Dean Dillon told me, you know, early on in the '90s, things that I never forgot was, as far as the songwriting rules, like tell them what you told them, or tell them what you got to tell them what you told them, and tell them again. Meaning, just keep it simple. You know, don't try to outright your don't make your listeners have to think too much. You know.
How rewarding of a feeling is it seeing what Jake Worthington's doing and getting to be a part of a guy I consider a little brother in Colton Dawson?
Oh, I love
like
Colton,
what's
yeah.
what's it like kind of being like an uncle to these kids and
yeah.
watching them grow
It's incredible.
passing down. It's like a tradition of passing it down to the next generation.
It's
is
incredible.
What it feels like.
I love it because and I just had me and Mark Chesnutt just called me a couple of days ago, and we had a long conversation, and I told him, I said, for the last 20 years, it's for the past 20 years, it feels like nobody even heard what we did. You know, I mean, you turn on the radio, you don't hear any influence of what we did through the '90s for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I was telling Mark, I said, I'm meeting all these young guys now. I was talking to him about Colton Dawson, Real Bannister, Jake Worthington.
Yep.
He knows those.
Kenny Whitmire.
Yeah, Kenny Whitmire.
Yep.
And I was telling Mark about all these young guys, and Mark being down in Texas, he's not here and seeing some of this stuff early on. And I said, I told him the same thing. I said, it seems like no one even heard what we did. It's what it felt like through the '90s. I've heard nothing. And Mark said, yeah, I felt the same way. And I said, well, all these guys now are like, they're the biggest Mark Chesnutt fans. They love what you do. And Mark was like, really? He's like, man, he said, thank you for telling me that. He said, hey, if any of them ever want to call me, y'all pick up the phone and call me. I said, well, we'll do that, man. So It's good to see these guys, and they're incredible.
Yeah. What do you think it was about your time back home on the ranch? Because Jake, when we were hanging out at the local that night, Jake was telling me about just how important those times were for him.
Yeah,
you two really built a brotherhood and built like a family connection. What is it about getting out to a remote setting like that and just, like you said, keeping it simple? Like, it feels like you guys went through a lot together in time living on that ranch together.
Yeah, you know what? In country music, I mean, I don't know. I mean, just being out in the woods and, being out there, just being country boys, I mean, that's just not in a city setting. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like to ride uptown. I don't like to ride uptown no more. I like to write country songs in the country.
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like I spent 10 years writing in a cube, a little writing room every day with no windows. I did it because I didn't know any better, and I had to. But I mean, now that I have a choice to write, I don't know if people book. To me, the best songs don't come from writing. People book a session at 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. and write for 2 or 3 hours, and then be done and you're on to the next appointment. I don't know. I don't enjoy that. I don't think you get great. To me, I can't get great songs from that. I'd rather have everybody in a setting where we can write for a little while. If we get stuck or if we need a little break from it, we can get up and do something else for a minute and come back and write a little bit more. And there's no time limit on it. I'd rather go all day long and than I had, a 2-hour, 3-hour window.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, it's art. It's like if a guy or a girl is an artist and painting,
Right.
There's not a time limit. Some of those paintings take years to make or take months to make.
Right.
I feel like songwriting is not that far off from that,
Right.
where it's tough to put a window in a box because then you're rushing to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, it's quality, I mean, that's what I loved about the old, the guys that taught me, Dean Dillon and Whitey Schaefer, who wrote everything, you know. Whitey was just such a legend, and those were they were the masters. They were the best generation of lyricists. Everything was just perfect, but simple, but perfect. And those are the hardest songs to write. I mean, simplicity is the quintessential country music sound, and it's for the working people and for the country people. I mean, those are the hardest songs to write, but they're timeless. If you get them right.
Yeah, and I feel like you're starting to create that with, Jake's last record was so freaking good, man.
Oh,
You
yeah.
guys and all the other writers, everybody that was involved with that record.
Yeah.
Talk about getting to have your hands on a project like that as a writer, and like write what it's like getting in the room and writing an album with
Oh, it's
somebody again.
fantastic. I mean,
It had been a while since I'm sure you'd gotten to do that, where you sat down and worked on
Yeah.
a whole collection of songs.
Well, yeah, Jake was the first one. You know, when we started that, like I said, we wrote on that to write that first record. We wrote 18 months straight, and we just put our head down and started digging ditches, you know, and getting the catalog built up. And you have to. I mean, it was a great time because I believed in Jake, and I knew where he was headed. So it was a great time. And then to see these other ones, Colton Dawson, come in. He's 19 years old and shows up. You know, it's killing me with this kid. I mean, he's not a kid; he's a grown man now. But you know, these guys show up, and you know, he plays his hind end off. He writes great. He sings great. Colton's incredible. Will Bannister's another one. Great writer, great singer.
Yeah. How did you first get connected with Colton?
Well, I was on social media. And
you do get on there.
Well,
so you do get on there and scroll.
I get on there and scroll, you know. And I saw this young guy singing a song that Jake and I had written. And he was doing a cover, right?
Yeah.
And it killed me. I was just like, golly, you know, look at this guy. So I just, you know, got on there and sent him a private message, and told him, I said, man, it's incredible. I said, you know, where are you at in life? And, you know, I didn't know anything about Colton. And he said, I'm still in high school. And I said, okay, well, when you get out of school, I said, man, you're welcome in my writing room anytime. And sure enough, his dad brought him down, Gary, and great people.
Yeah, they are.
Great family.
They are great people.
And Gary brought him down, and we sat around and talked for a little bit. And Colton played me a song he had written like at 16 years old. It blew me away. I stood up off my couch and went, golly, man, that is so good.
Yeah.
So anyway, we started writing, and, you know, and we started writing like every single day, preparing for this record that we were getting ready to record. And I think we wrote the 95% of the record in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. So we humped up and got it done. But
is It's Gonna Rain one of those songs?
Oh, yeah.
That is one that has been lighting fire on Instagram and TikTok, and one that because a lot of people come to me being with Raised Rowdy and doing what I do,
Right.
and saying, who are the guys or girls that are coming up next?
Right.
And that is one of the first songs that I show people is the video of Colton with the phone just facing at him, just playing It's Gonna Rain.
He killed
It's
it.
just a magical, like just such a great song.
Oh, he killed it. And you know what, Colton, as these young, and I love this, you know, these young guys, they're full of, you know, love for this and energy. And, you know, when these guys come in, they're ready to go, you know. And so Colton comes in with his guitar and sits down on the couch, and he starts playing that melody and spit out that first line. And when he did, I was just like, you know, good grief. Let me grab a notebook. We're going to have to get to work on this. It's, you know, so talented.
Yeah. So you still write with the notebook?
Yes.
So has your process changed over the years, or are you still just staying true, going with what you know?
Yeah. I've tried the computer. You know, I can type.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can send out a direct message.
But no, I mean, I can type. But I found something when I was writing on a computer and just typing stuff out. I caught myself making mistakes, like at a finished product, and so I learned something from that, because there's something about a pen to paper that I catch my mistakes when I'm making myself write it out. I'll catch mistakes that I won't catch when I'm using a typewriter. I don't know, it's just me. But.
Yeah, interesting. That's cool. So, and how does it feel just like from coming up and having those wild days in the 90s, which we'll get into some of that here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But now to be that mentoring figure, because I mean, when I talk to Colton or Kenny or even Jake, they say that they wouldn't be where they're at without knowing you and the influence the influence that you've had on them and on their careers, and on especially guys so early on. I mean, you met Jake when he was playing to 6 people back in the day, You take them under their wing, it seems like the ultimate full 360 give back, like the paying it forward to the next generation almost 30 years later.
Sure, and I love that. thank goodness that these guys are showing up that they want to learn and they want to, I'm so thankful for that they love country music. I wouldn't have had the career I had if people hadn't have taken time to teach me, because I didn't come here a very good songwriter. I came here and got some, and was lucky enough to get in the room with legend songwriters,
Yeah.
and I worked my tail off to learn it. So these kids that had the same passion that I did, and I love it. It's the greatest feeling in the world to give back and to keep country music alive, real country music.
Yeah. Yeah, man. What is it about? What do you think it is that makes a great songwriter?
The truth.
What are the
oh
the
the
truth?
oh yeah
Like
oh
the
yeah
characteristics?
Well,
like,
I'll tell you something. Yeah,
what does it take?
what makes a great songwriter to me? I mean, first of all, you gotta you have to do your work and learn the craft, and if God blesses you with those melodies, I mean, they don't come from me. We just kind of catch them, those special melodies, and then if you learn the craft of lyric writing, that makes a great songwriter. But what makes a really great songwriter is not making stuff up. There's got to be some truth. The songwriting is a craft, and you have to build a lyric. But to me, if there's not an element of truth in that song somewhere, you might as well just chunk it. Because if it's not real to me, how am I going to make it real to somebody else? How's somebody going to believe it if I'm just making it up? If it's a scenario that I've just thought up in my head. But if I've lived it, and this kind of goes hand in hand with what you asked a while ago about these young guys and teaching, or what I love to do most is tell them every mistake I ever made.
Yeah.
To keep them from making them. Because I mean it is a business, and all of us come here not really understanding that it is the music business. Without the business, there's no music, right?
Yeah.
So to keep them from making little mistakes, which these kids are smarter than I was. I mean, a lot of them are. They're not making the same mistakes I did, but I still tell them anyway.
Yeah. What do you think are some of the mistakes that a young songwriter makes, or a young artist?
Well, there's a whole
That you've
there's
seen.
there's a whole bunch of them, buddy. I don't know. I hate to speak on their behalf because I'm not seeing a lot of mistakes for them on their part.
Yeah,
But
you're a guy that's seen it all though, and been in town so long. Like, just what are some things that people do get caught up in? Like, you talked about signing the record deal 2 months into being
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and maybe you weren't ready for that as an
That's
artist,
right.
but it led you to an incredible, blessed writing career.
right,
You know?
right, that's right. I don't know, mistakes. I mean, a guy can get caught up in the wrong kind of stuff. Guy just needs to, guys and girls need to just concentrate on their career and their music, not get caught up in too much of a wildlife,
Yeah.
Just take care of business.
Yeah, I mean, because it seems like so much of it is the hang, and you're getting to do stuff with your friends.
Right,
and for you, that was on the bus on that seven year
That's
bus
right,
ride. You
that's
ended
right.
up with Mark. You
That's
know,
right, yeah.
but it's so much of it is writing with the folks that you meet at Losers or at Tootsie's or at Red Door or any of the bars here. What was that scene like? Of like when you come out here in the '90s? What was the bar scene like? Like, where did people hang out, or were you not even really involved?
I
in
never
that?
got involved in it.
Really?
I went right to work on Music Row, and I never got off of it. I didn't hang around any, I wasn't at the bars. I wasn't down here playing. And, in that time, all those places wasn't down here, and that's a little bit of a trap. It's a bit of a trap in my eyes, because if you're going to be successful in the music business, concentrate on being on Music Row or somewhere with great writers. It's better than yourself, way better. If you're young, go learn and make it a business. Be it, it's just like a job. Be at the office every morning. For me, back in the '90s, it was 9 a.m. when I was in town and I wasn't on the road. It's a business. So instead of going out and bouncing around all over here, if you find a place to write songs.
Yeah. What were some of the challenges of learning to write songs on the road versus writing them on Music Row or at somebody's house?
Riding on the road with Chesnutt was it was never easy, but we always found time to make time to do it, because you're so busy out there. And when I talk about, people think, well, you was out there on the road for all the way through the '90s. You must have had all this fun, and you done this and done this and done that. It was a bus ride every day. It was the same routine. You'd go in and play a show, get on the bus, and me and Mark, thank goodness, were on a private coach, so it was just me and him and a driver. So we would get on a bus after a show and crack a beer and turn on some Hag or Hank or Jones or somebody, listen to some music for a while, maybe for an hour or two while the bus is rolling, and then pull out a guitar, start something, and we might finish a song a week out there, but we were on the road a lot.
Do you remember some of your favorite places that you got to go back then, like some of those honky tonks or theaters? Did it ever get to like arena level? Like,
It was always arena.
It was
level.
always arenas.
Yeah.
Oh,
when
wow.
I got on the road with Mark, it was all arenas, no clubs, So we were just playing arenas or he was, So yeah, no bars really.
Was there one city in particular where you were very excited to go there, or did it all kind of blend together? Because the arenas are, when people don't know this, when you tour arenas, it's a lot of the same kind of stuff.
Right.
Or it's the backstage setup is kind of the same. There's not as much character as when you go into those clubs and honky tonks, like the Tumbleweed in Stillwater or Coyote Joe's in Charlotte.
Right.
Yeah,
I really never saw it. It was kind of a blur, I mean, it was just we were just busy, but not a lot of time to piddle around, it was just business and we were working. I did ride the bus. There's another guy I rode the bus with before I got on the bus with Mark. I rode the bus with Vern Gosden for a year and a half.
Oh, what was...
And that was incredible.
Yeah, what was that like?
Vern was
Vern, I hear, is one of the best to ever do it. Just as a human, and he's a songwriter, and a country artist, favorite country artist.
Oh, he was incredible. I love Vern, and I miss him. I'll tell you, one time I was writing with Vern, and he sang just, it was Vern, the voice, he sang just as good in the room as he did on the record, if not better. And Vern and I was writing a song. I was young, and he was sitting real close to me, about from here to you from me, and we got through writing this song, and Vern said, "Son, sing that second verse for me." We'd just written it, And I picked up my guitar, and he's leaned over into me, looking at me the whole time I'm singing it, just that little short verse.
Yeah.
As soon as I got done, he smiled at me and he said, "Son, you got one of them old thin voices like Dean Dillon," he said. We both laughed.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you talk about like guys like Vern and some of those OGs and coming up in such a special time of when country music, like when did you see it where country music really went to that next level? Like when did you see it go from being something that was small town to big city? Do you remember that time?
You talking about as far as a music sound, or
just the explosion of it
of country music
to where it was big in culture, and like you had places like New York City and Los Angeles, like just yearning for it,
Oh well, through the '90s. I mean, when I got here in the '90s, I mean, it just boomed, and so it was. I don't know. Maybe the time I started seeing it was '93, '94. It was in full swing, and. People were playing places they never thought they'd play, and big, in those Coliseums. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's wild. What did you grow up listening to in Oklahoma?
Merle Haggard.
Yeah.
The
Hag was your guy?
Die-hard. Yes, I was a die-hard fan. And Merle was one of the, talking about somebody who could write a song. He was such a prolific and incredible songwriter. And he, I studied his lyric writing like the good book. Because he'd learned from the same, he learned from people like Hank Cochran and all the ones before him. He learned from the same kind of people that I did, and Dean Dillon, same thing. He learned from Hank and all these other people, and they passed it on to those guys, And Merle was one of those guys that was just a brilliant lyricist, just simplicity.
Yeah. Did you ever cross paths with him?
Oh yeah. He sung a duet with me on that Giant record deal, me and Joe Manuel.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was a song I had written called "We Owe 'Em More Than That." Was a song about about them not being on the radio no more. Like there was a time through the '90s when it became politically correct on Music Road to be a Haggard fan, and I'd walk in the offices of a song plugger or two that I knew they weren't really Merle fans, and they would have all this Merle memorabilia on their wall, and they probably couldn't sing you 4 Merle songs, and it kind of offended me,
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing now? It's cool to be a Merle fan, and you're putting all this stuff on your wall. So I wrote this song. I got convicted about it, and I wrote this song called "We Owe 'Em More Than That," like hey, we don't just need to sing their praises. They need to play them on the radio.
Yeah.
It was my thought at the time, And so I wrote that song, and because of Joe Manuel, he got Merle to come in and sing on that.
How big of a moment was that for you?
Incredible. That was my hero.
To have your hero sing on a song that you wrote about people.
Incredible.
Feeling fake, like people, like in a way, like pretending to be big fans. Like, because that song's about him.
Yeah.
And about people making it politically correct.
That's
and
right.
Jumping on that bandwagon without knowing the songs. Like, what was it like being in the studio that day?
Incredible, yeah. So those and I over the years, like I've had like Ray Price. I'm on Ray Price's last album. Those were all those guys, Kenny Rogers, Gene Watson, Bobby Bear. I got to write with Bobby, and those were all the guys I grew up on. And so pretty cool. I love Bobby.
Yeah. What do you have any goals that you haven't been able to attain in your over 35 years of doing this? Like, is there what keeps you going and keeps you hungry to keep chasing these songs?
You know what? That's when you're born to do this. I don't think there is no other. I'm a lifer.
Yeah.
This is what I was born to do. There's always new goals. There's always new things. Chuck Ainley. I mean, this is something I never even dreamed I would get to do. Chuck Ainley and I produced a project on Will Bannister together. Was the first time I'd got to work with Chuck in a production setting. And then Chuck and I just co-produced this Colton Dawson record, which was so much fun. Yeah. And the songs are great. And so that's new grounds, for me, and excited to, I never thought I'd get to do that, but excited to do that. I love the studio.
Yeah, it's like we talked about earlier with the giving back and paying forward and passing the tradition. I mean, that's like Zach Top doesn't write. He writes with a handful of guys that are young, but mostly guys from your generation.
Right, that's right.
And it seems like that's the formula for guys like Jake and guys like Colton and guys like Will and Kenny, and there's so many others that are starting to come into this fold. But what's that like just getting it? Because was there a situation where it was like that back in the 90s or 2000s? Like, was Tim McGraw getting looked at by guys from the 70s and 80s? Like, I feel like this is a new thing to where they're going back to the older generation.
Well, here's the deal. Where, for these guys to learn, for these guys, I mean, when Tim McGraw, the area that you're talking about there, when Tim McGraw showed up on the scene, this town was full of young and older and middle-aged country songwriters that wrote traditional country music. The whole town was full of it. But these young guys that are coming today, that's not the case anymore. I mean, the guys like me, that was here throughout the 90s, they've either quit or they passed away, or they're doing something else. It's just like when it left, they weren't going to write this new stuff. And so the young guys today showing up are finding guys like myself who were here through that, who they can sit down and write songs with, and maybe learn a few pointers here to there that we can point them in. Okay, let's do it this way or that. So I think, I don't know, back in the 90s, Tim McGraw and them were probably finding great songwriters in their 30s and overlooking the guys that were my age back then. Like, they were already kind of like gone and out.
Yeah.
But now, the age thing, where else are they going to find it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, and God bless guys like you for sticking around. Who do you still have some buddies from your class of back in the 90s that are still sticking around here?
You know what? A few, like Monty Holmes is still around and writing. He wrote Troubadour, great songwriter, he's a country writer. Tim Menzies is still writing some, and but like a lot of my, Tim Johnson, one of my great songwriters, he's passed. Harley Allen was one of my guys. He's passed. Like a lot of my guys have passed or moved,
Yeah. So what's it like for you being part of the last of a dying breed that's continuing to go on? It's almost like if you're a fan of Star Wars and you look at like the Jedi, and it's like the 90s country was like you guys were doing all this thing, but now there's like a few of y'all left, and there's this resurgence of these kids that are followers. They're followers. They're believers. They're continuing that tradition, man.
Love it.
It's the gospel of solid country gold
right
coming back.
I love it. I mean, yeah, here's the truth, man. I had wondered all these years. I didn't know if I'd live to see it come back. You know, that was kind of a thing that I spoke to my maker about. You know, was like I just want to live long enough to see it come back. You know, don't let me go out like this. You know. So when it started coming back, I'm really excited about it. I mean, I get up every morning now like it's 1992 again, ready to go to write a song.
Isn't that so funny how that works to where you have this energy that you haven't had in years, and you're back living in Tennessee, and you're working on records, and you're excited for releases and the new music that's coming out.
I love it. I have two passions, and I was doing my other passion through some of this time of the 2000s here. Was running a D8 dozer. I love riding a dozer more than anything to do with that ranch work and timber or building ponds and stuff like that. It's just I've spent a lot of hours on that through the last 20 years.
Yeah. Do you still get out to Oklahoma quite a bit? Do you still have your place?
No, now I hardly ever I don't get out there much anymore. We're so busy work with now. You know, it's like working all the time. We just had the first break I've really had. This is the longest. I've been off for about a couple of weeks now, or 3. That's the longest time I've had off in 3 years. It's just
of writing.
Writing, yeah. Just like keep your head down and get the pencil out.
Have you been able to go on the road with Jake or Colton or any of those guys?
I haven't.
Or have you kind of retired from wanting to go out on the road?
I'm going to end up doing it. I don't know. Yeah, I will, but haven't yet.
Because I could see that to me is going to be the most full circle thing.
Oh, yeah.
Is when you're with a Colton Dawson or a Will or a Kenny or Jake, and they're playing one of those arenas that you went 2 years ago with Mark Chesnutt.
Pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty come full circle. Yeah, I missed. You know, when I got off the road with Mark, I missed the road. You know, for about a year. I mean,
you get used to doing it. I was blessed to be a tour manager for about 4 years.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time, whether it was in a van, in the good days, it was in a bus.
Right.
But where you have that routine of being gone, and you're used to doing it, so that reacclimation to getting off the road.
Right. Well, I know when I got off the road, I mean, I was happy and sad at the same time. You know, I missed Mark and missed being out there on that. But after about a year, I got over it. You know, it's like, I'm glad I'm not on the bus anymore. But I'm excited about getting on, taking a few rides. You know, and these boys today, they're not out there, you know, for the weeks at a time like we were. You know, we were gone.
Yeah, because radio tours completely different.
Right.
And playing those radio shows and having to go to a record store when the album's coming out or this or that. Right. It's the whole promotion and the whole thing. I mean, you've survived through the streaming era of where it's great because we can, as a music consumer, we have everything's at our fingertips. It's not just what's being played on WSM or on any of the radio stations or on CMT or any of that stuff.
Right.
We can get to all of it, and social media has been huge for the guys that you've been able to work with here recently. But I mean, I feel like I would have loved to have come up. I mean, I was born '95, so I missed a lot of that era. I was a young guy, but I remember listening to those songs on the radio and going to Walmart or Tower Records or one of those places and getting a CD, and just being something special about breaking open that Kenny Chesney, no shoes, no shirt, no problems, and going from front to back on it.
Right.
You know, like there was something special about the records era.
That's right. Sure. I mean, it's something you can hold in your hand. You can read the jacket. And there ain't, you know, I'm loving now seeing these guys making vinyl records again. You know, nothing sounds better than a vinyl record when you drop a needle on a country song.
Yeah. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of 90s country artists?
Of 90s country artists?
90s country artists.
George Strait.
George?
I mean, George is 81, kind of come up with that, but I mean, you know, it was relevant all the way through the 90s. I mean, Strait was the guy, you know, and
like 30
Diffie and Chesnutt. I mean, all these guys, you know, they just made great country music.
Yeah. What was a song that you had on hold with somebody that didn't get cut that you wish did?
I've had a few hold on. I've only had one George Strait cut. It was on the Blue Clear Sky album, which that just like made my whole life.
Yeah,
you know,
it's one of the best records to be a part of.
And so, what a great record to be on. I've had a few George Strait holds that didn't make it. That was kind of pinched me a little bit, like, you know, that didn't work. I don't know. I've had, you know, you learn how to grow some thicker skin real quick in the music business because you can get your hopes up and get let down a lot, you know. But if you go through that enough, you kind of get a little bit tougher. Like Yeah, okay. Well, it'll get on another record. But I've had, everybody has that.
Yeah.
I've had songs cut. You get back in the '90s. You get a song cut and you get the call. You made the or you got a cut, and then a couple of weeks later you get the call. It's like, man, it didn't make the record. Those are
Got to hope for a deluxe.
yeah, yeah. So you know what? My
my
rules as a songwriter is this. I know I got to hold when they call me and tell me they cut it. I know I got to cut when I can go to the store. This is the '90s. Say I know got a cut when I can go to the store and buy it, and I know I got a single when I can turn on the radio and hear it.
Those are the
If
three
you live by
things.
those rules, you won't be disappointed as much.
It's wild, man. That's a whole different era. What do you like doing when I know you said you enjoy getting out there in the dozer and doing all of that stuff, but what do you like doing when you're not writing songs?
You know what? I'm never not writing songs no more. So I mean, now I don't know. I mean, now I'm just kind of I'm loving this so much. I mean, I got my focus on this so much. I don't want to do anything else. Like I'll forgo the deer hunting, the dozer work. I just want to write songs with these young guys while every moment that I have left. Because I mean, I'm getting kind of close to the end of the tape measure here. So I just want to write. I want to finish the race.
Yeah. Are you still on a publishing deal currently? Or are you past all that?
Dana and I have our own publishing company together.
Oh, nice.
And so we started that like 3 years ago, and so we have our own publishing company. We have a production company where we're shooting some videos for. We did a couple on Bannister that was phenomenal. They're both on CMT now, so we got our hands, in a little bit of different stuff, and we're just having a ball doing it.
Yeah. What led you to wanting to get into that side of the business?
Well, a few reasons. Mainly because I'm old and set in my ways and like to do things my way, and I don't like no one telling me what to do.
Yeah.
I want to write songs the way I want to write songs. I want to do it where it makes the most sense to me. If you got somebody pressuring you to do it this way, you got a time limit, you got to write 3 times a day, and I'm not really into that no more. I did my time.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite song from the Jake Worthington, that last record that he put out?
The last record?
This
the new
last
one?
record that he put out, this new one.
I think Jake's recorded 18 of the songs on both albums that we've written. One of my favorite things, "It Ain't the Whiskey's" a really fun song, yeah. And I'll tell you how that song.
Yeah, tell me the story of that one.
How that came about. So Jake wasn't in the writing room, and Will Bannister and Jeff Hyde, we were writing for Will's record. We wasn't writing something for Jake's project, and we got this song. I had the title, and I brought it into the room that morning. We started writing it, and we wrote the first verse and most of the chorus, or maybe even all of the chorus. And I told Jeff and Will, I said, you know what, guys? I said, this sounds like this could be a great song for Jake Worthington. I said, y'all mind if we call him on the phone and just let him write a little bit? Let's finish this second verse with him. And both of them said, oh, yeah, let's do it. So I got Jake on the phone out in Oklahoma and said, hey, we got this song half done. You want to jump on the second verse with us and write it? And played it for him. He said, yeah, I want to get on that. And so, and Jake had a liner. I think he had one line in that second verse, so he contributed some, and he sung the crap out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then as far as this Colton project that's coming out, the buzz that kid has had without having anything out is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's something that can only really happen in this era with social media, and people are following him and just been so hungry for it. How many songs have you guys cut?
We've cut a whole record. We cut 12 songs. He and I and others, Jeff Hyde, Kenny Whitmire, Belle Franz, even Monty Holmes. We've all got songs on record. I co-wrote 11 of the 12 with Colton, and
it's crazy.
So we had a ball doing it. And Colton's so talented. I mean, he's just for his age to come in, and he's so smart. I mean, he's really an intelligent, good kid too. I mean, just a stand-up guy. I mean, he's so deserving.
He's the nicest kid.
Oh,
I remember because we've had him play a number of our events. We've been very fortunate to have a great friendship and great brotherhood with him. and he's funny. He's always like, man, I got to wear these X's on my hands because I'm so young. He's like, how am I gonna? He's like, man, I'm so scared talking to girls. I'm like, Colton, you keep doing what you're doing, and those girls will be coming, little man, dude. And it's just it's so cool, and I can't wait for that project to come out.
I'm excited about it. It's sounding good. We've been getting the mixes back and going. Chuck's working. We're mixing it right now. So Colton and I are going tomorrow. We've been hearing them. It's killer, man.
Yeah.
So we had the best band. We had the A-Team play the record, and Brent Mason, Paul Franklin, Larry Franklin, Eddie Bears, who? Yeah, Glenn Worf and all those guys.
All the legends.
All the legends, yeah. So
that know how to make that
great
sound.
country record.
Guys that I'm sure have played on songs that you've written before.
Many years, yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I love the studio is one of my favorite days. I mean, I've been working with these guys for 35 years.
Now, what studio do you guys work at?
We went to the Castle, and it turned out great, man.
That's awesome.
So excited. It's going to be a great country record. Everybody's really excited about it.
That's awesome. Where's the Castle at?
It's out between Franklin and Green Hills.
Okay,
Yeah.
so a little bit easier for you to get to. What's so nice about living south of town where you're at?
No traffic.
Being away, the traffic. No
Yeah,
traffic?
no, I don't have no traffic out there. A traffic jam at Lewisburg is 5 cars in front of you. Yeah, so
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. If you were to tell a young songwriter, fresh out of small town Oklahoma or small town Texas or wherever, what advice would you give to that young wide-eyed kid? Because how old were you when you moved out here?
I was 28.
Yeah. What would you tell that young late 20s kid looking to do something in this business, knowing what you know now, 35 years in?
You know what? Like I said, my best advice I can get to young songwriters is find guys who have had success and that know what they're doing. Get in a room with them and learn the craft of songwriting. And we all came here. I mean, anybody who has enough confidence to move to Nashville really has too much confidence. Because if you think, well, I'm good enough, I can get down here. I mean, I was one of those guys, right? I got down here and think, I'm writing songs. I can go down here and take over this joint, right?
Yeah.
Well, that ain't the way that it is. It didn't take me long to get here and realize my song sucked when I got here, and I had to get in the room with just guys that knew how to write country songs and learn. So you know what, you get out of it what you put into it. So I didn't know nothing but work my whole life. So writing songs was a lot easier than skinning hogs.
Yeah.
And I just you just got to go to work. It's like digging ditches. You got to get in there and get it, and learn. And it's a long process. You can't. I've seen guys come here and write for a few months and with the other guys and go, I got this, I can do this. Well, they don't. It took me 4 years to really kind of wrap my mind around it. So
yeah, and now 35 years later, you're getting to develop acts and
right. I'm still learning, man.
You're learning, but through a different facet, man. You've gotten to experience the business from all sides, and now you're in that mentor role with guys that are coming up, and 2026 is going to be a lot of fun. I cannot wait for this new music to come out. Do you have anybody else on the younger side that you're excited about, or you kind of keeping it to the small group that you're developing right now?
I keep a real small group, and I'm, hopefully, there'll be some others come along, but I'm very selective. I work with very few people, just because you can't work with everybody, but when I hear somebody that excites me, gives me chills, I hear a voice, something about them that says, okay, I'm in, then I get involved. And when I get involved, I don't, I hate the system that just run them through. When I'm very selective on who I pick, but who I pick, I stick with them forever. Yeah.
What is it that you look for? Can you tell right from that first note when they start singing or when they start playing?
Yeah, I mean, I know within if somebody sits down with me, I know within 3 minutes whether if I hear them, I don't know how, I can't really explain it, but I have to hear something that I connect with.
Yeah.
If it tells me that they got it, that they're going to be able to do it.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Well, hey, it was a real pleasure.
My pleasure,
Absolute
Matt.
pleasure. Thank you so much
Thank you for having
for
me.
all that you've done for the world of country music and all that you're continuing to do.
you, buddy.
Seriously, we really appreciate it, and it was an honor having you on here and having you play that night at the local with Colton. I'd love to try to set that up again.
Oh, yeah, man.
I know it's not every day we can get you all the way up here to the big city. But seriously, thank you so much.
You bet.
And very excited for all this stuff coming out
Me
in
too, buddy.
2026,
Thank you.
man.
I
And
appreciate it.
y'all be sure to get on the lookout for the new Colton Dawson project that's coming out. Check out the Will Bannister stuff, the Jake Worthington stuff, and be on the lookout for all the new music that is coming. All the Roger Springer songs that are going to be getting cut in the future and are in the works for coming out. I cannot wait for this Colton Dawson record.
I'm excited.
I haven't been this excited for a debut project in a long time.
It's killer, man.
Oh, dude, I'm going to have you put me in some demo jail when we get off of here. But
Yeah.
shout out to our friends from Surfside. No bubbles, no troubles. Vodka iced tea, vodka lemonade. Go check them out at a liquor store near you. And for more on us, visit RaisedRowdy.com. For my man Roger Springer, I'm Matt Burrill. This has been Outside the Round.
I ain't never been the kind for staying in one place for too long. I ain't never been the best at saying I love you to a girl I love. Only got a couple tricks on my sleeve. They usually just make 'em leave.